Earlier this week, a Chinese international student at the University of Michigan falsely claimed to be a U.S. citizen when he registered to vote in Ann Arbor, according to the Secretary of State's office. News 8's Josh Sanchez has more on how some clerks are reacting and what's in place to verify a voter's eligibility.
The case of a 19-year-old international student allegedly illegally registering to vote and then casting their ballot at an Ann Arbor early voting site earlier this week has caught national headlines. The Secretary of State of Michigan says that only U.S. citizens can vote.
On Wednesday, the Michigan Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson, along with the Washtenaw County prosecutor, announced that a University of Michigan student who is not a U.S. citizen claimed to be one while registering to vote and then voting on Sunday. Officials say the man later called the Secretary of State's office to request his ballot back. Ottawa County Clerk Justin Roebuck says it's a disheartening case, but says the response by law enforcement and local clerks is reassuring.
I think that is ultimately encouraging and sets a really good example, both for our voters to see that, but also for others who would be contemplating committing any kind of election fraud. It's not a good idea.
The Secretary of State's office says people are required to state under the penalty of perjury that they are a citizen when they register to vote, request an absentee ballot, send back that ballot, or request a ballot in person. The consequences can be steep, from prison time to even deportation. State election officials say the man was arrested and will be facing charges of attempting to vote as an unauthorized elector and perjury for making a false voter registration. Roebuck says because the Secretary of State's office handles both election IDs and driver's license, there's a system in place constantly checking the eligibility of voters. While most voter registration happens at the same time as an ID or driver's license renewal or application is submitted, Roebuck says it's a secure process.
Of the Real ID Act, which is federal law, anyone who is obtaining a driver's license has to prove U.S. citizenship, and so that is a huge win for us on the voter rolls as well. Now, non-citizens may obtain driver's licenses in Michigan. However, they're not connected to that database that's going to register them to vote.
The Michigan Secretary of State's office says in a statement that cases of non-citizens voting are extremely isolated and rare event. They add that multiple investigations through different states have found no signs of large numbers of non-citizens registering to vote, let alone actually voting. In Kalamazoo, Josh Sanchez, News 8.